to the Constituent Advocacy Campaign Voter Education Series, Part 3. I hope you found the first two sections informative and useful, and today we intend to share with you the information in Part 3 that will yet again be insightful and again hopefully useful to you as a constituent of Tennessee Senate District 19. All right. Today our topic is current status of Tennessee Senate District 19 issues of importance. That's the current status of Tennessee Senate District 19 issues of importance. Let's first, as we did in the previous sections, identify what our learning objectives are for Part 3. And they are as follows. Upon the completion of this section, observers will hear an overview of the current status of socioeconomic conditions prevalent in Tennessee Senate District 19. Learn about the allocation and missed opportunities for use of state budget funding since the 2014 Tennessee Senate District 19 election. And then lastly, be presented with a proactive agenda to strengthen the economic, social, health, and educational well-being of all constituents of Tennessee Senate District 19. All right, so we're going to begin first with giving a basic historical overview of Tennessee Senate District 19, very similar to what we offered briefly in Part 1, but this is a more detailed analysis. In 1969, when Tennessee Senatorial District 19 was carved out of the city of Nashville, it had an approximate 90% plus African American population. And the late Senator Avon Williams Jr. was elected the first senator to represent the district. After the formation of the Metropolitan Nashville-Davidson County government in 1965, the population distribution was significantly changed. In 1992, incumbent Senator Thelma Hopper was first elected and has served for the past 25 years. During her tenure, the demographic and economic conditions of Senate District 19 has and continues to change drastically. Today, the African American community demographically represents only approximately 53.3% of the Senate District and 26% of the metropolitan Nashville-Davidson County. New business trends and local government policies have fostered gentrification with a concentration in voting precincts with traditionally high African American populations. Additionally, predominantly African American populated public schools have high failure rates, and there are pockets of unemployment and poverty concentration in predominantly African American voting precincts. Over the last 10 years, new residents have been attracted to the Nashville area, and they have become, by default, the object of frustration for native residents who feel squeezed out by large-scale economic developments, seemingly catering to the wealthiest residents. Now, what you've heard is that backdrop historically. Now let's look at indications that there's an issue or serious problem in Senate District 19. Okay, and I offer for you as evidence of, or as an indicator, the greatest indicator, the voting pattern. Constituent frustrations that are expressed via low voter turnout. Okay? Now, we're looking at Senate District 19 and apathy and unawareness and how it affects the voting pattern of constituents. Out of approximately 109,000 registered voters, in 2006, only 29% of the constituents participated, 31,207. Senator Harper went unchallenged then. In the 2010 election, only 23% of the constituents participated, at 24,575. That was one challenger, and Senator Harper remained our senator. However, in 2014, 28% of the Senate district constituents participated, at 30,873 individuals who cared to cast a vote. In this election, there were 3 challengers, and Senator Harper remained senator to this present moment. Those are the greatest indications, and you average those 3 out, and on average, about 28% of the voting population participates. Clearly, there is voter apathy and perhaps unawareness, which is the basis for this educational series. So now, earlier I spoke to you in doing the budget in part 2 about funding, and we suggested some ways that it can flow down through the constituents. Well, let me speak a little bit more in detail about, in my view, how there was a missed opportunity, okay, for constituents to benefit from funding that was allocated. And what we're looking at is over the last 4 years, and we're really looking at from 2013 through the approved budgets of 2017 from the state of Tennessee, okay? And we're looking at a larger view of what was allocated, approved to be spent. And then we're looking at specifically if, based on the fact that there are 33 Senate districts in Tennessee, District 19 being one of them, if you were to just equally distribute the funds, not suggesting that this is exactly how it works, but if they were to equally distribute the funds to each Senate district, what would the portion be? And how much can the constituents look to being spent for various areas? And today we're speaking of those 4 areas we pointed out in part 2, and that is education, health, law and safety, and economic development, okay? And then more importantly, we're looking at, if we go down to the voting precinct level, which is where you're going to find the people on the ground, okay? What reasonably could we expect to have been allocated or spent? Or what could they have held individuals accountable for in terms of a dollar amount, all right? So in K12 education, Tennessee allocated over the last 4 years $809,786,900. Respectfully, Tennessee District 19 could have seen $24,538,997. On the precinct level, or council district level, $1,168,524. In the areas of health, dealing with wellness and the mental health, $51,144,100 allocated over the 4 years. Respectfully, District 19 could have seen the use of $1,549,821. Respectfully, on the council district level, $73,801. As related to law and safety, $172,900,000 $20,600. Respectfully, Senate District 19, allotment of $52,400,180. And on the council district level, $2,495,247. Then lastly, and community development, $596,772,800. What could have been seen or portioned for Senate District 19, $18,084,024. Okay? And respectfully, on the council district level, $861,144. Now, when you add all of that up over the last 4 years, what we have allocated is a total of $1,630,624,400. Respectfully, what could have been seen for the use of constituents in District 19 of that 4-year allocation is $96,573,022. On the council level, $4,598,716. Now, monies were allocated, taxes were paid, it came through the capers. Somebody got it, somebody used it. But what I'm going to share with you now is how, even though these monies were available and they went to the respective departments that administrated them, there were still issues. And it led to the issues that we saw in terms of the low voter turnout, the apathy toward the electoral process, and the way things go. But yet people are struggling. That's what you're going to learn as we look at a little bit deeper into these issues for Senate District 19. Now, let's look at K12 education. Monies allocated, spent, issues in Senate District 19. And more importantly, what does the Constituent Advocacy Campaign propose as an action? In other words, what should we expect from a senator? Okay? All right. You know, as we just mentioned, K through 12, $809 million plus. Reasonably, Senate District 19 could have benefited from $24,538 plus dollars. $1,168 plus could have come to the Senate, to each council district. Now, despite that money being allocated, spent already, in Tennessee Senate District 19, more than half of the schools on the Department of Education's priority list are attended by residents of Senate District 19 voting precincts. Okay? Despite the presence of federal race to the top funds that were sent from the federal government to the state for the benefit of our children in our public schools, and it went directly to the State Department of Education, and it was at their discretion as to how to use it. Okay, but it was supposed to be used equally among everybody in the state. Then there was the Tennessee contribution to the local education agency, or Davidson County Public School System, through what they call their basic funding formula. All right, and other funds that have come through from either feds or generated by the state, allocated. Despite all of that, many students who live in specific Senate District 19 voting precincts, they continue to struggle academically. Okay? The Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce have consistently identified parent involvement as the most important factor to lowering the achievement gap for students in the public school system. particularly from Senate District 19 voting precincts. And again, there's an overlap there with those that struggle the most and from certain voting precincts. How do we deal with it? The focus of this campaign is to craft public policies that empowers parent constituents of the Senate District by establishing the following. 21st Century Community Learning Centers, and we learned that that is an area of funding in the State Department of Education. Other family-centered educational support systems and funding streams for academic enrichment. Where they're coming from, if they don't exist, Senator ought to be making sure they're working with the constituents and with the legislature and the governor's office to ensure that they're present. Okay? So let's talk about health as regards to mental and overall wellness. We learned $51,144,100 allocated over the last 4 years. Some $1.5 million could have come to District 19, and $73,801 respectfully to Council District. Despite that, according to the Tennessee Institute of Public Health, there are 4 key issues that affect the overall health of Tennesseans, to include constituents of Senate District 19. The determinants are: at 10%, health care; at 40%, health behaviors; at 40% as well, social economic factors; and at 10%, the physical environment. Now, the latter are manifested in Senate District 19 in the forms of alcohol and drug abuse, street and domestic violence that we see too often, HIV and other sexually transmitted disease, heart disease and hypertension, just to name a few. When we look at the fact that there are funds and there's a need, the question becomes, what do you propose? Well, the Constituent Advocacy campaign suggests thus: constituents need Senate leadership that will ensure adequate education and treatment for all residents, and not a select few. Accordingly, this campaign advocates for the following: broader access to community health education and resources, and mental health resources and focused mental health treatment, specifically for young people who today display indicators of depressive episodes and erratic behavior. Okay? Now let's talk about law and public safety. Just a basic review: $172,920,600, $20,000 that is, and $600 have been allocated and spent. What could have come to District 19, respectfully, $52,400,180, and benefiting each precinct $2,495,247. Now let's consider this. Even though monies have been allocated and used for whatever they were, what they didn't do is address certain issues. Over the last 2 decades, constituents of Senate District 19 have been plagued with a particular set of social economic challenges. The recipe for long-term stagnation has been comprised of broken families, dire poverty, academic underachievement, poor physical and social emotional health. All of the previously mentioned issues combined constitute the cause of the unsafe neighborhoods for businesses, business owners, residents, and everybody involved. Now, particularly as new residents come, what they're seeing is that these things have existed for some time, and oftentimes they become the recipients of certain frustrations. How do we deal with it? Constituent Advocacy Campaign suggests we need Senate District 19 leadership that will utilize their role in the Senate, in the state legislature, in a manner that guarantee constituents gain maximum benefit of resources such as federal community policing funding. In prior campaigns of mine and talking with police officers, there's a concern that there's not enough funding or that there's issues. As a senator, we want to make sure that we remove all those barriers. Okay? Other available or created resources to build and sustain safe and viable neighborhoods for everybody. All right? So now let's talk about the economic and community development. All right? Some 596,772,800 allocated. What could have been seen in District 19, $18,084,024. Specifically for each council district, $861,144. Now, money's been spent, and they're supposed to be for a particular purpose and cause. However, in District 19, here's the reality. Currently, Nashville-Davidson County is actively engaged in planning for civic growth leading to 2025. Those are projections. City's population is projected to increase from its current probably a little over 626,681 residents to well over 1 million by 2025, and their own projection for that. Business expansions are expected along with population growth. The constituents of Senate District 19 need and deserve fully responsive Senate representation that will ensure their access to federal and state resources that support vibrant business development within voting precincts of the district that have long been economically deprived. Now, if you live in Nashville, you know that right now one of the challenges is that our mayor is trying to deal with the transportation issue and the crowdedness, right? Well, they're working on trying to get on the ballot in May a referendum that will vote in the city's moving forward with the transportation plan. It's a very interesting thing. Perhaps we'll try to put that on the website for you. But nonetheless, that's one thing. But then there are other challenges, particularly for the blending of new and old residents, that we have to look at in terms of empowering people economically to be self-sufficient. So how do we do that? Well, the Constituent Advocacy Campaign's position is thus. This campaign advocates for the creation of a Tennessee Senate District 19 Economic Empowerment Zone, very similar to the 1990s that the federal government established, which my understanding is no longer exists. But what I'm suggesting, what the campaign suggests, is that we can have a form of that in District 19, and it will be driven by the following advocacy goals. Funding for entrepreneurial training. Focused initiatives to decrease the district-wide unemployment rate. And better job readiness support. Now, if you think those things are not needed, your eyes are closed and you're asleep behind the wheel. Because for many people that struggle in Senate District 19, those are the barriers. What the Senate can and should do is work toward eliminating them. All right? Now, that brings us to the need for Senate District 19 unification. Now, what does that look like? Let's understand that over the last 10 years, the urban core of Nashville, Davidson County, has been largely gentrified, okay? And it continues to do so. East, South, and West Nashville are fully changed already. Parts of North Nashville are currently under new housing, economic, and social transformations. It is estimated that some 89 people are relocating to Nashville each day, and it may be more now. The migration surge poses challenges for residents who have lived in Nashville all of their lives. Even if they're not prepared academically or economically, they don't have any type of safety nets. Some of the concerns that have been raised as a result of gentrification are affordable housing, increased concerns of public safety, failing schools, and economic disparities that continue to persist. Now, what do you do about it? What do we suggest from the campaign? Tennessee Senate District 19 needs and deserves leadership to bring a balance to both old and new residents of the Senate District. That's leadership. The mantra of the Constituent Advocacy campaign, is E pluribus unum. That Latin phrase means from one come many. Respectfully, from 21 council districts exists Tennessee Senate District 19, and that's the way leadership should look at it. We're all one. What we do for one, we want to make sure everybody have equal distribution and access and support. This message is consistent for residents that make up all 47 voting precincts within the district. Constituents need an advocate for the people and not merely a politician that will be elected over and over again. Okay? Now, I want to share with you a plan for new growth and moving forward in Senate District 19. Consider as a preamble the preamble of the 19th Senatorial District of Tennessee as such. We, the people of the 19th Senatorial District of Tennessee, in order to form a more perfect senatorial district, ensure justice, promote public harmony, provide for common protection, promote general interests, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our children, do ordain and consent to the common organization of the electorate of Tennessee Senate District 19. I want to thank you for joining me yet again for this third part of a four-part voter educational series. This is your campaign organizer and voter education series facilitator, Ruben Dockery. And I hope that you will join me for part 4, the last of the parts, part 4, which is basically dealing with how to hold your elected official accountable. The time is over and it's time for change, and just electing people and allow them to keep on being elected over and over again, but there'll be no change. We can bring that change, and you can be empowered to do so. It's Friday evening at 7:00 p.m. for the last of our 4 parts to this series for the voter educational series.